is for this week?
I can take it. I'm feeling good. High vibes. No distractions. My focus for this week, going to be updating the documentation. So going back into the stuff we wrote way back in December and putting it up to date, specifically the stuff dealing with development. And yeah, that's it. Probably some little tasks here and there. I can pass it to Marco.
Thanks, Mitch. I'm feeling good. Back from vacation, I'd say, sort of. My focus for this week will be working on the sitemap and information architecture for Giveth. I started with the My Account pages because we have a lot of moving pieces. So I think we kind of need to get back to the drawing board a little bit. Then I'm going to review the Figma file from Willie, Lauren, and Griff for the gift drops. Also working with Mo on the components libraries. And then I also need to review and clean up the liquidity mining designs so that the Rotary can continue working on that. That's my focus for the week. And I also have one agenda item that I would like to put on a list, if that's okay to say right now, or
Yeah, give it to me.
Right, cool. So widget to embed on nonprofit websites to accept crypto donations. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. Pass it over to Matteo.
Hey everyone, nice that you mentioned that, Marco, because I actually had feedback from someone mentioning that feature. So that's amazing that you're thinking about it already. For me, I'm feeling all right, ready to handle this week the best way. Happy to see you all, and no other intentions than keep in sync with everyone. I'll pass it to Lauren.
Good morning, everyone. My focus for the week this week is give stuff. I want to like create issues and organization around kind of like what things are missing in Giveth.io, and kind of like communicate the pieces that are like going into the design to what's in the GitHub. So I want to work on that. And then also since Flora's had a baby, I'm also gonna like organize the agenda and start taking over leading comms, which I'm super excited about. Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling morning. I'll pass it to Griff.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, my week on the Giveth side will definitely be focused on the like solidifying, finishing give drop, finishing give mining, or at least creating proposals for you guys to discuss. And definitely talking, like probably going through the vesting thing, which I want to talk about, like the current contributors amounts, which I want to talk about today in governance. And we have a hacking session with Willie as well in person, probably on Wednesday. So these are my big focuses. And maybe if there's time, I'll squeeze in some conviction voting stuff. I'll pass it to Amin.
Hi everyone. My focus in this week is to make the liquid mining application of US Trace the test one be deployed faster. Today I was focused on making the smart contracts work. I configured the application of the dev node. We had issues. We are working with Edu on it. Hopefully it goes well. Maybe we have to create another garden because token is changed. And the rest of the week will be like that. And yeah, and I'm here to see what's happening, and I try to be helpful. I pass it to Donna.
Hi everyone. Well, I'm feeling good. focus. And my focus this week is to really understand the ecosystem, especially gardens, conviction voting, and also managing the Giveth catch-up meeting and get more involved and also managing gardens and see what's the roadmap, testing gardens, and also give drop if it's deployed. And yeah, that's it. I pass it to Danny.
I'm gonna kick it on over to Ashley.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm feeling okay today. My priorities for this week mostly are just finalizing the rest of the source cred stuff. We got everybody's identities merged and like everything's active in the instance. So now we just need to work with the spreadsheet and make sure all the correct data is being pulled from the right places before the end of the month for these PAN payments, and some documentation, and also working with the giving block and trying to get these projects showing on our application, because we should be getting like 400 new projects on our application, so it'd be really cool. And I think those are my main priorities for the week. I don't really have anything for today's agenda, so I will pass it to Bowen.
Good morning, everybody. I guess for me, this week is going to be checking out gardens, testing more, and any more help that needs to happen with the give drop. And I'm excited to see how the mission statement thing ends up today. And with that, I think that's about it. I'm feeling good, oddly, for a morning. I'll pass it to Hannah.
Hello, everybody. Let's see. I don't have, well, I guess on the agenda, if anyone has any comments or anything about the role proposal that was put up, otherwise distractions for today. I do have to go in about 30 minutes for a bus ride, and just want to say thank you to everyone for being so, like, I meant to say this yesterday during praise, but so flexible with like the time difference this week for communicating if anyone had any questions about stuff, since I'm in a different part of the world, but we're good at that. So that is, let's see, that is everything for me. And I will pass it to, let's see. Mia.
Good morning. I'm feeling amazing today, very focused, very grounded. This week, I'd like to just relearn and understand more, just going through the onboarding process further. I really love to meet with Ashley. I want to get stuck in testing the gardens, and I'm going to be taking over Forrest's taking notes in meetings. And I'll pass it to Mateo.
I think I'm the last one now. Yep. Okay, good morning. My week is going to be really strange. I have to clean all of Lauren's house and get to San Jose because I'm flying out as she's flying in. But besides that, I'm doing a bunch of stuff on Giveth too. Getting through these the forums that are up right now, getting our circles and a process in for our working group is on my agenda. Working on the hiring process a little bit, and let's see, the other things are just doing whatever testing I can do, but mostly I'm trying to just be available for everybody. There's lots of cool little things that I'm able to dive into, and reading and reviewing documentation is also on my list for the week. And I'll try to catch up with you too, Donna, one more time before this week ends. I will be in Florida with my family next week. I'll be able to do this meeting still, no problem. And just make sure that whatever I need to coordinate, I'm here for you. my grandson's 10th birthday. We're having a family reunion in Orlando, just in case anybody's wondering. All right, let's jump into our agenda. Let's see, anything on procedures? I think any of the housekeeping type things are actually kind of embedded into the proposals that we're reviewing right now, especially the Circle Stewards proposal in particular. But I want to just start out by checking in with Marco on the item that you wanted to add, because I didn't actually fully hear you to write it. I just know you have something.
Yeah, sure. So, for the context, I was approached by one of my friends from Serbia. They're part of the MVP workshop. It's a blockchain Web3 agency, and they asked me to design some sort of like a widget for crypto donations for nonprofits to accept crypto donations on their websites. And what they tried to build was out of necessity, out of the need, actually. And then when I read the spec, the brief, it's something that we actually have like a lot of the stuff already built, and I already saw an opportunity there for us to collaborate. So I had a call with them today. We just briefly discussed everything. I told them what we have at Giveth. They're gonna take a look at everything, discuss it with the team, and then get back to me if there is an opportunity for us to collaborate. Regardless of that, I think we should have some sort of like, we will eventually end up building that widget on our own. So I would expect having that widget somewhere in my account user profile, where you could simply copy paste some code and put it on our website. Basically, a nonprofit would come to Giveth, create a project for their nonprofit or create an account, and be able to generate the code for the widget that can be embedded on their website. So basically, we handle all the wallet creation. We handle the donations, so where the funds are going. So they will be able to accept payments on their website and also on Giveth platform, like both. So like they're getting more exposure on Giveth that way, but also they're getting a way for them to accept crypto donations without any hassles, without need to create their own wallet to take care of everything else, because we take care of all of that stuff. Actually, they take care of it because they own the wallet. So everything is decentralized. We're not a closed platform, unlike other quote competitors who offer a similar solution, because they're centralized. So I think it's something we should be considering in our future roadmap, regardless of the outcome of the conversation that I had with the MVP workshop guys. They're a dev shop. They're awesome dudes. I would love to be able to collaborate with them. They also have a couple of their own solutions for handling, accepting crypto donations in multiple currencies. They have a lot of smart contracts. So we might just have a conversation with them and see like what tech we could use from them. So we don't have to build it, or they can lean on us for something else if we come to that point. But yeah, basically the widget is something I would put on a roadmap. And I think that's part of the how we're going to solve, or how we're getting closer to fulfilling our mission. And our mission is to actually create that bridge between the traditional world and nonprofits, and offer them a tool, tech, a platform, whatever you want to call it. So I think like that's pretty much aligned with our mission. Yeah, that's it. And yeah, whatever you have, any comments or feedback on that.
I think it's amazing. I see a lot of use and benefit for that. I'm curious, like you said, it seems like we have most of it. What do you think that would take? Is it just a small bit that we'd need to do for this? And I'm assuming this is also that process that we should talk about, which is adding a new feature and prioritizing what things are more important, right?
Yeah, like adding a new feature, and that's something we're going to discuss outside of this call, I guess, and prioritizing the roadmap. And what I meant by we have all of that was when I read their brief and what they wanted to build is we had all of the stuff that they wanted to build. Basically, they want to solve a wallet creation process. They want to solve the ability for user to donate crypto without thinking about what kind of crypto they accept or not accept. So basically, they can donate with any crypto they want. So those kind of stuff we have, and also they wanted to have some sort of like a back office where they can, preview the widget, generate the code. Basically, something that we already have in my account. So like in terms of that, we already have all that. On top of everything, we have Give Economy coming up, which I think is super amazing. And is a huge plus, and added value to everything that we're offering. So if we're going to be approaching NGOs saying, hey, you can accept crypto payments right now, you don't have to worry about what crypto you're going to be donated by, you don't have to worry about anything. And on top of that, we shield them our Give Economy and say, hey, you have your mini economy around your NGO or whatever. I mean, we're just nailing it,
We are so nailing it. I love this, Marco. Thank you very much. And I'm assuming, I just wanted to hear, does anybody have any thoughts or concerns or anything?
Just making sure to align with Monique and make sure that it's this is not like an emergency thing, but it's like folds into our priorities list as normally does. But you were already talking about that.
Great. Okay, let's jump into, I'm going to stick with our new topics first, unless anybody feels like we need to do something else. But Griff, current contributor vesting seems what's alive next.
Why don't you go to someone else while else? I realize that I'm not on this call. So go to the next topic really quick, and I'll set Lauren up.
We'll do Hannah's because I know she's got to drop off. I just realized, so that makes a little more sense. Okay, let's jump down to Michi. Doesn't like the way I spelled his name. Hannah, I know you don't have a whole lot of time. Have you had a chance to take a look at the comments on the forum on your role proposal?
Yes, I have. And let's see, it looks like, let me just pull up my notes. Wait, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay,
I can hear you.
Perfect. So, one thing that I wanted to bring up would be Mitch's comment on leading the governance circle. So, because that kind of relating to our discussion about the circle stewards, how does this fit into the nomination process we're trying to build? And by approving the job description, are we also deciding that I'm the governance circle steward? So kind of bringing that up, because that was something that Danny and I had added in back when we originally crafted the role proposal. But I guess just kind of want to talk to you guys about that and what way we want to all go about the nomination process and deciding who the steward would be, and if I should go through a separate process for that, or maybe take it out of the role proposal for ease of that, and then we go through that process later. So if anyone has any initial thoughts on that, I think it could be good to discuss.
So we could nominate several people here, and I think It's tough to say that would automatically be part of your job description. And what would your job description look like without that section in it? Because I noticed that was a quarter of your job role in there, assuming that you would be nominated.
Yeah.
Go
Sorry.
ahead.
Oh no, you can.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. I think it makes sense to kind of have that be something separate from the description, because like in the future, people won't just probably have like Circle Steward in their role proposals. And I can definitely still take on like responsibilities like relating to, governance and things like that. But I could take out that part and kind of adjust it and adjust the proportions accordingly, and then change it again if nominated and voted into that. And if not, then it would just stay kind of the way it was. So like I could definitely do that and kind of adjust that accordingly.
Maybe you could even just like, rather than taking the role out, you could just like adjust the title of it a little bit and be like kind of like supporting governance working group for now until like the nomination and like selection of like stewards is completed. Because it seems like
kind of like an interim circle steward, basically, and then until we go through the formal election process.
Yeah. I think that could be good.
We're doing some more stuff at Shapeshift right now, where we have some people. We're establishing these work streams, and we have a few people who are just like interim work stream leader, basically, and they're playing the role of the work stream leader. There's still going to be this formal election process, but so we don't have to wait for that election process to get the work stream going. People are just stepping up and acting in that role. And then if they do want to apply to be work stream leader, it's a great way to like prove themselves to the work stream and to the community before the elections. So I like that.
I also
one of the things that
go
Ashley. No, you go ahead.
When I made the proposal, like the tool that I was thinking about using, just so we could kind of like understand, or maybe we want to use a different process, but there's a poll that we can use where people can add their own options to the poll, so people can just like nominate who they think, and you can also vote for more than one person. I also think that it's totally cool to have more than one steward of circles or working groups, and so I just wanted to throw that out there.
Let me see what time it is. 8:27. Would you guys be interested in going through an exercise right now to nominate a circle steward for the governance working group?
How long do you think?
Is there any reason we couldn't do that right now?
I think it might take a lot of time.
Yeah, I don't think this should be an improv thing.
I'm fine with no, but I also think, the thing I was gonna also say is that when Hannah and I met and put this together, it was with the assumption that I was going to be stepping back even further, and also, even though I'm coming back to put more time and energy in, it's very appealing for me to always have somebody else both know how to do the job, and also I love to give away my jobs because then I can go learn new jobs. So I would love to get that nomination process done this week, if there's a way we could do that, or at the very latest, put it on the agenda for next Monday's governance circle.
We have the forum post, and there's like a discussion going on there right now, and whether or not we should have just circle stewards or circle stewards and working group stewards. So maybe everyone can also just like get in the forum and put their ideas. You could put like nominations or like what you think of the conversation so far.
Is that something that we can decide in a governance call?
So here's a question I have as this comes up, because I feel like as I look at all of the stuff in that post, it was actually really collating a lot of information into that post around this process. And Mitch, I'm reflecting on the last forum post that we did where it felt like there was so much information, but then when it went to the Aragon vote, it was really on one little piece of what's in there. So my question is, do we really want to have one forum post that designs the circle stewards and working group things? I think it's great to get all of the information, but it feels to me that each circle should do their own nomination process for their own circle steward. And once that circle steward is defined for each circle, then they can work with their circle to decide on their own working groups. Like this doesn't have to, each circle making their decisions around who their steward is and their working groups probably doesn't need to involve absolutely everybody, or maybe I'm wrong and it does.
I think you bring up a good point. I think at some level we need to have like a shared process, and I think that would be like the electing the circle leaders. Like that should be the same process for all the circles, I would imagine. And then within that, you're right. I totally agree that like the circles can figure out their own processes and stuff for working groups and everything. But I think there needs to be some consistency. But that's just my thought, and I'm super open-minded. But basically,
I see three options really. There's, just have circle stewards, have both, or have just working group stewards. Not saying who's it going to be or anything or about the process, but those are the three different ways we can do this. And that was part of what was being debated in the post.
Thank you, Mitch. That I didn't see that in there. That the options are: should we only have a circle steward or only have working group stewards?
I mean, that was
what
the
was the third thing?
So either working group stewards, circle stewards, or both. That's kind of what I was gleaning from the post. Is like, I think maybe Lauren or someone else was saying we need circle stewards and then we need working group stewards. But there's multiple options within there. So we need to figure out like how many stewards we're basically going to be nominating here and then decide the process.
I feel like
I'm reading through it now.
Are very important, like because then that each working group is kind of like focused on a like different area, whereas the circle is overarching. So I feel like if we didn't have circle stewards, that might be okay, but I feel like working group stewards are pretty important.
Can you have a circle steward that's also just the working group steward for each of the working groups?
Yeah, I think that.
I mean, it could be the same person.
Cool.
We have a pretty small team, so it would make sense.
Totally.
Yeah, so I hear what you're saying, Ashley. I agree totally that working group stewards are, you have to have a champion. It's like having a project owner. There has to be somebody who's kind of carrying the torch for the group. And I can see where the working group, where the circle itself would, any working group steward could step in. That could be a distributed or decentralized role if we wanted to play it that way. I guess one of the things that I'm still coming back to around this is, do we have to define this at like the DAO level for Giveth across the circles? Isn't this a decision that we could allow each circle to make for themselves?
I feel like a lot of this is like we need to make sure that we remember this is our Give governance, and it's a good model for the total community, right? But at the same time, like other groups will get funded through conviction voting in the future and all this stuff. But like we are working with our Give, with our own little group, and we're forming our own little circles, which will hopefully be a model for other groups. But for now, it's just like, we don't need to just get the scope so big. Let's just make it work for us, right? Right now.
Yeah.
And make sure people know who are points of contacts and stuff like that.
Yeah, I hear you. I think that's why I'm advocating to push the decisions down further. All right. Well, I think we can continue doing that one on the forum. Thank you for taking the time to discuss it here. Hannah, I know you've got to go pretty soon. Is there anything else you need around that? I think it would be nice for us to set a goal to have any forum or any changes suggested back to Hannah so we can get this up on Aragon for a vote by next weekend.
Yeah, that all sounds good to me. I feel like kind of what I'm gathering, what I think the best decision would be in terms of the steward thing is just, I liked kind of the idea of it being an interim until we do decide. I think that would be helpful so that once start, like I could take on those responsibilities, and someone would be taking care of them. And then once there is a steward, whether that's me or someone else, we could shift those responsibilities. But that's kind of how I'm thinking I'll adjust it and then make the change. And then, yeah, if anyone has any other comments, please feel free to leave them.
Cool. Well, I think we've talked about two things here in this conversation, both Hannah's role and the Circle and Working Group Stewards piece. Griff, are you ready to come back to the contributor vesting?
Yes, I am. Sorry, I'm still getting set up, but I think I have it. I'm figuring out how to use Lauren's desktop over here. Not really used to it. But yeah. So I guess the main concept. Okay. So I just to start, like we originally kind of came up with this. There's kind of an airdrop list for current contributors and an airdrop list for past contributors. So for past contributors, you can see like the people who have been with us for years, like Danny, who's in this call, you know, she gets pretty huge. She gets a nice fat, like past contributor amount, you know, and so do I, and Kai, and Chris, and Wojtek, and all these people who have worked with us for years, you know, 2-3 years. And then Willie, Lauren, and I were going over the current contributors list, and we realized that, first off, some people aren't on the list. Donna and Carlos weren't on the list. Rodri, Mo, Rochelle, Heather, you know, these people who have kind of come in lately and been contributing aren't actually on the list. But also some people who were on the list pretty high, like James, you know, he was going to get 220,000 tokens, which is as much as which would have been, you know, the second high, would have been more than Kai, who had worked for Giveth for, you know, 4 years. And looking at that, it became obvious that maybe giving everyone all of these tokens up front doesn't make sense. And to play that out a little bit more fully, like imagine if we had launched and James just had the tokens and then was like, yeah, but I'm going to start up ClimaDAO and I'm going to do all these other things. Whereas, you know, me, Amin, Mateo, Willie, Marco, Lauren, Mitch, we're all like still focused and working on Giveth. And, you know, some of us, many of them wouldn't get as many tokens, and it's not a fair incentive model really for people who want to stay with Giveth and continue pushing. And so what we considered looking at was first off, revise a couple things. First off, revising some of these numbers to reflect more accurately, to include like past contributions as part of the mix. So like, you know, we tried not to change as many as possible in column D. This is where we made some changes, some suggested changes to include new people and add new and reduce other people that have been contributing less lately. And so that's one thing is making some changes, and then the other big thing is actually making a sort of, it's sort of like vesting, but using the rGiveDAO distribution of rGive tokens to decide whether or not people continue to get extra tokens. So instead of giving all of these tokens right away, we start with 20% of this token distribution, and then every 3 months after that for the next 11 distributions, so it's effectively 3 years worth of distributions, we would give the rest on an equal basis. So every 3 months that you continue to contribute to Giveth, it doesn't have to be full-time contributions, but it does have to be like you're around and you're good enough to get rGive token, basically, and using the rGive token requirements as like enough to say that you have you continue to get this extra bonus. So that's kind of the idea. And we want to. So I want to propose this. First off, I want to say that like Willie, Lauren, and I kind of just hacked something together for these token distributions. And if you guys don't like it, then we should just schedule a time to do another more like a vote, kind of like how we did it last time, for how we should reward these contributors. And that's totally cool. But we wanted to put a proposal out for these numbers. Oh, and let me paste this sheet. So this sheet has a lot of addresses in it. So I don't necessarily want to like, I don't really like showing everyone's Ethereum address very much, but I believe most of you guys have this Give token sheet, so you can look it up. But so there's kind of like maybe 3 proposals, and I've only discussed 2 of them. The first is, instead of current contributors getting all the tokens, doing 20%, and then like every 3 months, based on if you get our Give tokens, then you get this follow up. And if you don't get our Give tokens that month or that round, then you don't get any more vesting, was the idea, right? So it's not, if you take a 3-month vacation, then, and that, I think maternity leave, for instance, could be excluded. Maternity and paternity leaves could be excluded from that. It's a small group and we can make these discussions, but that's one proposal, is to change the way this is distributed and to give our Give control to make this distribution. The other one is whether or not this new distribution list, which my goal was to change it as little, our goal was to change it as little as possible, only change it for people we felt were like poorly represented by the previous distribution, and include new people. And so that's the second proposal. And the third proposal is was to actually make a strategic partnership section and pull it out of current contributors. So basically, because before we kind of had like a few people that were more strategic partners than really contributors, and we just looped them in. But so we formally like removed them out and added a few more people to that we felt were strategic partners. And so we have this list of people. These are strategic partners that were not in the past, not well represented in the airdrop. Basically, people who don't have connections to Giveth in many other ways, and wouldn't get many tokens. Okay, so those are the 3 proposals. Danny, how do you suggest that we discuss these? Maybe one at a time, or maybe pass it around and hear people's thoughts on everything?
Yeah, how much time do we have? 20 minutes? I think I've got this captured. Let me number them. So I guess we should get feedback on each one. I'd rather discuss one at a time. Yeah. Oops, that's number 1. So the first thing yeah.
Let's start with the 20% at first, and then every 3 months.
Okay.
Let's zoom out a second and talk about vesting for contributors, without actually getting into percents. Like, so then you're telling me that this every 3 months, I have to keep on contributing and being available for our Give distribution in order to get the Give payout?
To continue to get the extra Give payouts. So you would get a percentage up front right away.
But if I stop contributing, then that other 80% is lost.
Yes. So if you stop contributing after the drop, then the other 80%. If you stop contributing after a year, then that would be more like 60% would be lost.
Mm-hmm.
I have to run really soon, but I just want to say I think that I really like the idea of like having every 3 months constant contributions, and then also the adjustment that you made for people that maybe haven't been contributing as much now. And then I think that this whole plan looks pretty good. and I have no like major concerns. So I just wanted to say that before I have to run.
Thanks, Hannah.
So then what happens to the past contributors?
Past contributors they get their amounts.
Here.
Oh yeah, that's the mouse. I keep forgetting that she doesn't have a laptop, desktop. The past contributors are. How do you move it? Just one?
I mean, it's hard to see on that sheet really, but if you go back to that same sheet that we're talking about, Griff.
This one?
Yeah. And then if you just scroll down, like there's people there that get some tokens, but like we haven't really heard anything from them, in quite a while. So then what? They're only going to get 20%?
Yeah, exactly. Like, let's say like Chris and Merlin and some of the Mahdi's, they probably will not be contributing. It would be very unlikely that they get our give. The thing is, they're just not in the past contributors list. So they're in here. They'll get the 20%, which like for Chris or for Merlin will be 4,000 tokens. He'll get that 20%. And we'll tell him, hey, if you want to continue to contribute and be active in the give, you'll get this much every 3 months, because you have relevant skills that could be added. But if he doesn't, then he wouldn't get this. And I think that's better than giving Merlin 20,000. I mean, not to call one person out, but giving Merlin 20,000, whether he contributes or not, versus like. Because it's kind of like, oh, you were here at the right place at the right time. Whereas these people, they were contributing.
And at the same time, you're just doing like a crazy give drop on everybody who was associated with like a For Good DAO. So you're controlling the top list of contributors, but at the same time, you've got this wide blanket distribution to all these people who maybe have never interacted with Giveth, but are a contributor on OneHive.
Well, so the amounts are ridiculous, though. This is 3% of all give tokens in existence for these 46 people, and that would be 2% for about 2,000 people.
Okay.
So, like, no one person in that other drop gets 10,000. Not even close.
Mm-hmm.
These amounts are very large relative to. This is 3% of all tokens that are going to be created.
Yeah. Question, Griff. When these tokens are dropped, are they also going to be subject to the give stream? So like you're going to get 20%, but you only get 10% of your 20%, and then the rest are unlocked over the 5 years?
Yes, exactly.
Too much vesting.
That's the quarterly drop, right? That's the one that comes every 3 months that you're talking about. Yeah.
And for the starting drop, all of these things are subject to the 10%, like the first 20% that you get. That would be 10% unlocked. So you can just move a decimal point here. 10% would be unlocked at the time, and then 90% would be streaming. And then every 3 months, that stream percentage changes a little bit, right? So it would be like 12% and 88 streaming, and continue like that.
Yeah.
And this was also brought up around, some people wouldn't get very much governance power in the gardens. And what I would say to that is that there is a lot of social power, and the number one. And then number two is the Argive DAO still has a lot of funding. So if people who are part of this drop don't have enough governance, the governance that they have in our Give DAO is really massive. So we'll be able to pass anything through there that we want.
I totally understand why all this is happening. I think it's great that we're having the opportunity to look at the drops and change the numbers. I do feel like I need to study it and understand just a little bit, like the what do we call them? The edge cases. I'd like to look at that a little bit and understand it. But I think it all makes a lot of sense. I think one of the questions.
So what happens, say, because current contributors are only getting, 10% of this 20%, how easy would it be for someone else just to buy out Give and just control governance?
That will depend on how
If more contributors are still having this massive dump that's supposed to give them governance power is being diluted to 20%.
Well, so the Give DAO is going to be the kind of our safeguard there. They can only buy however much Give is in circulating supply, and we've looked at the circulating supply numbers, and it's going to be a while before circulating supply could even be close to what the Give DAO has. So that's one of the reasons that we're giving the Give DAO a significant allocation. I think it's like 8% of the total supply is for that safeguard. Worst case scenario, if there's a malicious vote, we can step in there and veto it.
And also remember, current contributors will be paid in Give tokens on top of getting the stream. So they will continue to get more Give tokens. They'll probably sell them because they need to live. But there is not, and we also have this future contributors, so we can pad these numbers if need be, if there's issues, for sure.
I think it helps to understand that the past contributors list, I can see how there's it might seem a little unfair that past contributors are investing and current contributors are. But those past contributors, it's those are people who are, many of them already did work for 3+ years. And the current contributors, it's just a snapshot, right, at a single point in time. And so,
right. But then, looking at Wojtek or Jordy, they would have more governance power off the bat than Griff.
Well, theirs does still vest over the 5 years, basically. So they'll get 10% of that up front.
Yeah, but Griff is only getting 20% of his 10%.
No, because Griff is also in the past contributors bucket, and so are many of our current contributors.
So then it doubles up then. So then Danny and Griff and probably Kai would get both. Oh, okay.
Exactly. Danny gets this, all that's there, plus the current contributors, what's on that sheet. And that's the vested one.
Mm-hmm. And most of us also get this. So Lauren's on this list. Mitch, you're on this list. Forrest, anyone who is contributing before March is also on this list and gets a nice drop from past contributors.
Yeah, I feel like we did a good job with that. I'm looking at the different options, and so there's no proposed changes to the past. I felt like I heard a flag come up somewhere. Do we feel locked in on the past, and we're only focusing on making sure we have the best, not only current contributor list and fair distribution, but using it a little as an incentive to keep people playing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then also kind of balances out and makes things more fair, because many of our current contributors are for a year, and then are getting an airdrop that's equivalent to past contributors that built all of Giveth for the 4 years prior or something. So it ends up making a lot more sense. I argued. Asked a lot of questions, but I'm it makes sense actually, especially when you compare the two lists.
Yeah, Wojtek really led the DApp along with RJ for 3 years basically, and he gets 181K, whereas that would be as much as Marco, although Marco's contributing. Well, you also get your past, but let's say Lauren and Mitch have been working here for 8 months, and it's about the same, and that's just it didn't feel quite.
No, I'm not saying that anybody should get more than the other, but it's because we got this extra vesting on top, then the actual contributors now will have less of a role in governance.
For conviction voting at the beginning, this is true.
Yeah. And it seems another thing is we're kind of be leaning on the Give to be the arbiter, but then we also have conviction voting at the same time. So it's what's actually our decision-making process?
Conviction voting is the one that's open to everyone, and Give is progressive decentralization. If we feel, conviction voting thing is an experiment in governance, but we don't need to gamble the entire future of Giveth on an experiment. We have a fantastic team right now.
TECs for that.
Yeah, exactly. They can roll the dice, praise debates and shit like that. Yeah, let's gamble, right? Giveth is the rock, and we can make with our give DAO, we make sure that everyone here still has power to make sure that everything will work while we spin up conviction vote. And if we realize, the nice thing is with Argive having so many tokens, if we realize things aren't working with conviction voting, that someone came in, bought up all the governance or did something stupid, we can mitigate those issues.
I've got to tell you guys a little magic. Just as we're looking at these names and talking, I got a message from Chris saying how much he misses Giveth.
Well, we'll probably be able to loop him back in. Maybe he'll start his own conviction voting, like, a second comms team or something. Who knows? He could totally do that, right? And then if he goes rogue, Argive can hold it together.
I can't imagine a rogue Chris.
Hey Griff, so I assume we're going to test the give drop before we actually do it. So when we test it, we could essentially use these numbers and kind of see how it goes within the testing environment before actually going live. Is that true?
Yeah, and we'll have all the numbers very explicit. I mean, I don't know if testing it is as clean as just looking at the spreadsheet, but yeah, we will. I believe Amin is has a deployment that's kind of just using whatever numbers we have around, but we will do one more full deployment with all of the right numbers and be able to see what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I still have more opinions, but I'll digress for now.
So one of the things that pops into my mind now is we decide on, part of me is wondering about the 20%. That's something I want to get my head around. How did you decide 20%? And then the streaming numbers after that. Part of me feels like maybe the initial drop should be just a little bit more than that. I don't know.
Yeah, I just wonder if even conviction voting is going to work. Maybe anything we do in there is just going to take too long because too much of the circulating supply is vested.
So the conviction voting, doesn't it? It only is relative to how much give is staked in the gardens in total. So as long as so basically we only need the more give that's staked in the gardens in total, the more give you will need to pass the given proposal. But the circulating supply outside of the gardens doesn't actually.
Right, it's only the effective supply.
Right.
Okay. Well, yeah, that makes sense. I'm with Danny, though. I'd like to see that 20% be higher, but I see the logic now.
Okay, sorry. We're about at the top of the hour now. So it sounds like we want to have a little bit more discussion. Is there another meeting this week to take a look at this that I can get in on?
Yeah, we should probably make one to discuss, because it's not just this either. It's there's 3 topics here, right?
Right.
I'd love to see if there's more strategic partners that are good for Giveth that we want to include in a strategic partners list. There is this. Is this can we get some this stuff is really shitty to debate. I don't really want to debate these numbers, but
no,
I like debating the 25% versus how much gets, or 20% versus how much gets released. That's really nice and collective. These debating the finer details. This is I would love to ratify this yes or no, or with a soft signal. And then if it's a no, then we go through and we allow everyone to kind of do numbers like how we did the past contributors with right. And the same kind of thing where we just have collective sense making and not back and forth debates on changing one person's numbers.
Totally into that. So this is the item number 2, making changes to those that are poorly represented plus adding new people.
Yeah. And then strategic partners, honestly, I would love to have input on that, but I would also I feel like I have the best perspective here, and I really would I think it'd be easier if I just kind of get to pick some of these, like I have the best view of like who and where. So
and they don't have this vesting.
They don't have this vesting, no.
Okay.
But they still have the stream.
They do have the stream, and they also don't have our give.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this. I think it is very important that we align with our strategic partners around the drop, which means including them in the drop and then collaborating a little bit from communications to be able to expand our reach for communicating what's happening with it. And all the way around, it seems like a good idea.
So are we going for a soft consensus on part A here?
Maybe during the call, I guess that's coming up.
Oh, I thought that was a now thing, and we were just going to discuss the percentage later.
I think
well, we're at the top of the hour. The meeting's over for governance, and I'm glad we got to hack through it and discuss it, but I need to process a little bit in order to make decisions and have a place to think that out in writing if necessary.
I guess what I'd say is maybe we can take a forum poll, and I don't really like putting some of this stuff out there in public because it has because it has so many addresses. But DM me if you don't have access to the sheet, and we can do a forum poll on these numbers of yes or no, simple yes or no. We can, and then and then we also can schedule a meeting to debate the rest of it.
Sounds good.
Sounds good to me too.
Awesome. All right. Please, everyone, speak your mind freely in the forum, and let's have a great week in Discord. I think we're doing pretty good. We have had some interesting requests lately, but everybody's on top of it. You guys are awesome. I love you. Have a great week.
Thanks, Danny. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
See you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good Monday. See you in the next call.
Enjoy Boulder.